Hello Year 10s, I hope you're all well. I'm hoping that by the end of today's lesson that you have uploaded your designs, your media experimentation and your A3 tonal drawing that you should have done over Christmas and on last Friday's lesson. If you could upload it to me either on Teams or email it to me just so I can see what you've done, give you some feedback, and then hopefully then all of that part of that project is all completed. Now, unfortunately, due to lockdown, we are unable to finish that portraits project, so that Your Face or Mine. What we're going to do is we're going to leave it, put a pin in it, and then when you come back, hopefully, fingers crossed, after half term, we will then continue that, creating your final piece, doing your photography, and then come back to this project, which we're about to start. So we're going to start your summer term project, which is time for a coffee and tea break, which is all the work going towards a lino print. So because we're skipping to our summer term project, all the work for this I'd like you to do on paper. So do not stick or present in your book. What we will do is when you come back, you'll bring in all of your work back into school, and then we will present it all for you then in class. So what I've done on Teams as well is I've put in your task sheet so you can see what we're going to be doing each week. So for task 1 this week, we're going to create a title page. So what you should hopefully have is on the PowerPoint I've attached, you have this image. This image we're going to copy A4 onto an A4 plain paper. So you need this image, paper, a pencil, rubber, and you will need tea or coffee for at the end. So on your bit of A4 paper, we are going to then first of all sketch out the composition. So we need it to fill the A4 page, but it doesn't, obviously the image we're copying has not the same proportions as an A4 paper. So don't worry necessarily about that, because what we'll do is we'll trim that paper at the end, which I'll show and talk to you about. So the first thing we do is we're going to sketch in that initial kind of round shape for the coffee mug. So if we sketch in that shape there, so I'm just going to sketch it in and around in here. So work quite large, because it's our title page and it's the first kind of viewpoint of this project. Sketch in the handle, coming in and around there. Going to sketch in just the rim of the coffee mug and around in here. Now actually I'm just thinking that line there needs to go further out. Okay, so I'm just going to bring that in around in here, and then that'll bring that line in around as well. Okay, sketching in that shape, and then the saucer just comes off and around like so, and then the coffee beans, I'm just going to sketch in the shape. Now you can see I'm not adding any detail into any of the elements. I'm just simply sketching in the shape, making sure I'm getting the proportions right, making sure I'm happy with my composition, so that I will add all the detail in later. Because what we're going to do is we're going to create this piece as a colouring pencil drawing. If you do not have colouring pencils at home, you will create it as a tonal drawing. So when I go on later to talk about modulating colours, you will think about how going from darker to lighter, making sure you've got those highlights in, making sure there's those shadows, and bringing in all about 7 different tones. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm now going to trim my paper. But I'm not going to physically trim it with scissors. I'm going to wait until I get back into school to do that using a guillotine. So I'm simply going to just take edges off. So I'm going to get rid of that bit, and then I'm going to bring this down in here, right off down that point. I'm going to get that bit done. Now I'm just doing it with my pencil. If you need to use a ruler, if you feel less confident just kind of doing it freehand, by all means do that. Okay, and then you can see then the piece that I'm going to be working with is just that area there, and then that means then when we get back we can trim it and then present it on our page with a black background, a parcel paper background, and then it will make it kind of almost give it a border and make it stand out more. So once you're happy with your sketch and you're happy with your composition and your proportions, what I want you to do with your rubber is then just make sure it's all shored up, which means you just want to have one line. And so you haven't got numerous lines, you're just kind of shoring it up, kind of going, yep, I'm happy with this line here, getting rid of all of those kind of sketch lines. Because next thing we're going to do is we're going to add our coffee or tea stain. Now it's up to you which one you use. I'm using tea just because I've just bought the kettle for my husband, and so it's just easier. So I'm just going to shore it up like so, because if you don't shore it up, if you don't take the time to get rid of those sketch lines, when you then apply your tea or coffee stain, you can't then rub it out afterwards. So you're then always stuck with your pencil lines underneath. So it is always worth just taking the time to get rid of those sketch lines, okay? And also, you've got to be happy with your drawing. If you're not happy with a certain point, so I'm not happy with my handle, this is the time to change it, because you won't be able to change it once it's got tea or coffee over the top, because you won't be able to rub it out. Okay, so just please be aware of that. You're going to have that bit there for where you can just very roughly just see where it goes down and underneath, and then I can see my... And I'm going to have another little coffee one just going underneath. All right, so I'm happy with that. So then what I've got now is I've got some tea, and I've got one of my son's just plates here. Okay, now you might want to put some newspaper on the table, depending on where you're working with. And then I'm just going to simply, with my tea bag, I'm just going to put a bit of tea everywhere. I don't want to put loads and loads of tea and cover the whole thing. I want some areas being more than others. Now with my plate, I'm going to put some on here, like so. Then I'm going to get my mug, put it on, and then I'm going to have my mug go in there, so I have a mug stain. And then I'm going to do another mug stain there. Now that's all I want. I don't want any more than that. I just want that little bit of roughly tea or coffee stain. So I have some areas that are white, some areas that are kind of almost like splattered of tea or coffee. All right, and having a few mug stains as if you've spilt some tea or coffee on the page. And then when we apply our colouring pencils, some will be going over the tea or coffee and some will be white. So that's where I'm going to stop you for the moment, because obviously we've got to let that dry. Once it's dry and you're ready to apply it to go, and you should hopefully then be ready with your colouring pencils and your image, then just be ready and press the second demo. Okay, thank you.